Hey there, everybody. Randy Schwantz here for another episode of Agency Growth Machine. And today I'm going to be talking about proof of abundance. Why is that? You know, I listened to David Letterman interviewing some guys that were rappers. And they grew up in the hood, a place that was full of poverty, no hope for a lot of people. And when there's no hope, things are crazy. It takes away your ambition and all that sort of stuff. And when you listen to enough news and all that sort of stuff, it causes you to believe that everything's going to hell in a handbasket. But the fact is, in the world, a lot of things are getting better. And that's why I wanted to bring up to you today an email that is sent out by Peter Diamandis. It's coming up over here about the proof of abundance. And this is from him. I just want to quote a lot of stuff from it because I think it's so relevant to our mindset. And when your mindset is full of realistic optimism, not just because somebody says, oh, you ought to be optimistic, but because there truly are a lot of great things going on, then it's worth looking at this. So, Peter Diamandis wrote this, Proof of Abundance. I'm on his email list. And here he starts it off right here. The world is getting better on many critical fronts. See all the evidence in the blog below. And he just says, many of us can't see the good news because we're constantly bombarded by all the negative news online, on TV, and in newspapers. And why are we fed the negative crisis news? CNN, constant negative news, or constant negative network, whatever. But he says right here, humanity evolved on savannas of Africa 5 million years ago, surrounded by a world of severe and immediate danger. To deal with that danger, our brains evolved in a ancient-like temporal lobe called the amygdala. Right there. You've heard me talk about the amygdala and podcasts I've done. Ray Dalio, Robin Sharma. Everybody is on the amygdala train now because the more we discover about it, it runs our nervous system, the fight or flight sort of deal. And it says because of that, our brain senses dangers and puts us on red alert. Because of that, we pay 10 times more attention to negative news than the positive news. And for that reason, every news source is putting 10 times more negative stories than positive stories. The deal is if it bleeds, it leads. You've heard that. And he just says, do the experiment, go pick up a newspaper if you get it. Check out every negative story versus every positive story, 10-to-1 ratio. All right. So what he's talking about is the benefits of the abundance mindset. There's way more than enough for you and me and my competitors and your competitors. There's way more than enough. And he's going to look at what he calls data-driven optimism, not opinion-driven optimism, but just looking at data in the area of renewable energy, childhood mortality, global poverty, just to name a few. So let's go down here. Let's get going. He said, child mortality rates are falling. Life expectancy continues to climb. We're living longer and child mortality rates falling. I kind of skipped the first part of that. So let's look at this chart down here. In 1920, life expectancy was in mid-30s. In 1970, the high 50s. And now, 30 years later, in 2020, is 72.6 years old. Just since in the last 10 years, from 2010 to 2019, life expectancy has grown by almost 3 years. Well, think about the implication of that. If you're a young dude or dudette, you're 30 years old, 30 years from now, if they keep adding 3 years of life every decade, then life expectancy will be 85 years. Now you think about if that's the average expectancy and you're above average, you could easily live 95 or 100. Now that's got a lot of implications as a producer, as a salesperson, as a human being. One of the things you hear me talk about a lot, rant and rave, do my best to encourage, is for you to make enough money so you can save enough money so you're putting away $50,000 to $65,000 a year for now until you retire. That's assuming you're young. If you're at least 40, 45 years old, then now you got a fighting chance. If you're older than that, you got to put away more money. Because here's the stats. If you put away $50,000 a year for 20 years at 6%, you'll have $1.8 million. The problem is $1.8 million 20 years from now has the buying power of $900,000 today. And you're going to expect to live on that longer because life expectancy is growing. So now there's a beautiful part of it. We're going to live longer. There's a negative part of it. It's going to take more money to live longer. But now that you know this, you can take responsibility for making more, saving more, being an astute investor, and preparing that, as well as having a good life today. But you keep those two things in balance. Here's the other thing it says. Child mortality rates declined by 26% for the kids under 5 years of age. It's gone from 6.9 million back in 2010 to 5.91 million 10 years later. It's amazing. Those are just big numbers, increased by over 40%. So here we go. We're connected more than ever. If you look at 1995, 2 or 3% had the internet. By 2005, 15%. By 2015, 40%. By 2020, 60% of the world. And we're talking about, extreme poverty countries. We're talking about every place, everywhere, use of the internet. What's the value of that? Well, Peter talks a lot about exponential technologies to democratize and demonetize. In other words, for my kids, I got 4 kids. One went to Sanford, private school down in Birmingham, Alabama. Another one went to Oklahoma University, not a private school, state school. Third one went to Baylor, a private school. Fourth one went to Duke. All very expensive schools. Well, the majority of the population can't afford that much of the United States, much less the population of the world. College has gotten so expensive, but as the internet continues to evolve, more and more people are finding ways to provide education to people that's a whole lot less expensive. That's the power of connection. Well, as they become more educated, they become contributors to the economy. They make more money. They spend more money. That drives commerce across all borders. And we, being who we are, the United States of America, really stand to benefit the most out of that by being smart as we do what we do. That's opportunity for you and me. That means you as a producer, you sell contractors, you sell manufacturers, you sell lawyers. They support both domestic and international companies who then bring money over. And all of a sudden this money, the pot of money just gets bigger. That's why we're talking about abundance. Your future is so bright if you pay attention to the points of understanding here rather than all the negative news you're going to find on MS, NBC, 60 Minutes, Fox News, USA Today, blah, 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 blah. Increase access to renewable energy. Since 1998 till 2020, it's gone from 5.8 billion to 7 billion. So it's gone up. 1 billion more people have access to electricity, renewable energy. Rapid growth of solar. Solar's gone from just in 2010 to 2020, up by almost 700 gigawatts, 20 times more solar power, 3 times more wind energy, gone up from 346 to 1,430 gigawatts. It's just amazing numbers. Now, here's the one that I find incredible. Extreme poverty is declining. It says in the last 10 years, we reduced global extreme poverty by nearly 9.3%. It's a huge number. And thought it would be even less, down to 7.9% had we not had COVID. But look at that. I'm looking at this chart. In 1980, 43% of the world was in extreme poverty. By 1990, it was down to, say, 35%. By 2005, down to 20%. By 2010, 15%. And 2020, 9.3%. Now, once again, why is this so important? Well, getting out of extreme poverty into just being poverty, you look at people who are impoverished. I mean, you know, lest I get myself in trouble, don't mean to, but you look at India. India is loaded with very wealthy and a lot of impoverished people, but they all got cell phones. They're learning how to trade, buy, do sorts of things, barter. I mean, it's just, and as that economy grows, it fuels their universities, it fuels international trade. A lot of great things happen. So that is such a beautiful, positive number. It gives you reason to start to think about greatness and what could be going on. So just to finish off what Peter provides, he's got a deal called Abundance 360. It's something that you can sign up for. I think it's $10 or $12 or $15,000 for a 2-day event. But you learn about exponential technologies that are changing the world. So pretty cool stuff that is going on. And the implications for you and me are amazing, because he talks a lot in a bunch of his other articles about 3D printing. A friend of mine that works for DHL competes with UPS, FedEx, those guys. DHL is like Amazon's biggest competitor. DHL, who take companies like Patagonia and sets up their warehouse, robots, all that sort of stuff. So their e-commerce can compete with Amazon. They don't have to go on Amazon and give up that extra margin. It's just amazing. And so he was telling me that they've got this futuristic thing in Chicago, which I really want to go to and see. Sort of warehouse, but where you can see the display of what the future is going to look like. And he said in about 15 to 20 years, 15 or 20 years, people like Laura and I will be able to walk into a warehouse and see, like, surrounded by mirrors, see something like that, or video screens, flip through, pick what we want. In essence, we can try it on without ever getting out of our chair, hit a button, it will 3D print, and then send it to our house the next day. I mean, you just think about that. He's talking about 3D print airline parts. And I was like, well, how do they make that metal fuse to make it strong enough? He said, I don't know, but they're working on it. 3D print houses in impoverished areas where there's no wood to build a house out of. It's just so many things are changing the world. And I say this to you today because as a producer, first of all, the world is bright. You've just got to put on a new set of lens to see it instead of all the negative news that's all around us. People start worrying about, well, the economy's bad. Your market is hard. It's hard to get business. Well, it's always hard, or it's always easy to get at business based upon your ability to sell, prospect, differentiate, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. What matters is your capabilities and skills to go do it. It's a great world. Our economy has grown. I heard a guy from Schwab talk about, doesn't matter who gets in office, it doesn't have that huge of an impact on the stock market. Now, it might have some things. I mean, that's what he said. The point is, our economy is going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to make things happen. There's going to be continued opportunities for you. And probably, just like there's always been, every 10 years, there'll be another crash. Things will go down. You need prepared to then take advantage of it going back up. Just a lot of cool things. I just did a podcast about, are you ready to sell your agency? Because the PE companies just are buying up 650, 700 agencies every year. But you got the ability to be your own PE company. You got the ability to build a sales culture, hire producers, bring on acquisitions. Technology is going to help enable you if you would embrace it. I've been into technology. Bignition is a combination of a technology CRM platform along with a sales training platform glued together with coaching on top. And there's nothing else like it out there. You can't get it through Salesforce. You can't get it through Pipedrive. You can't get it through Microsoft Dynamics. You can't get it through HubSpot. Those are all different things and they're all good. But if you want to drive growth, nothing else out there like it. That's the power of technology. Small entrepreneur like me can jump in there and take advantage of that. So can you. The future is bright. That's what today's podcast is all about. The future is bright. Abundance is everywhere. Change what you look at. Start to guard your mental, your mindset, and your heart set from all this negative news. And go grow your book. Go build your agency. All right, man. See See you guys later.